Now let's move on to another theory-based question. The question states, Rhizomuca bacillus is a fungus found in piles of dead plant vegetation. It has an optimum growth rate between 60 degrees Celsius and 70 degrees Celsius. First part asks, identify the name of the kingdom and genus of this organism. This is a simple recall question. Since Rhizomuca bacillus is a fungus, its kingdom is fungi, and its genus is Rhizomuca. Next part then asks, give 2 of the main features of organisms classified in the kingdom named above. Again recall the characteristics of fungi. Their cell walls are made of chitin, and they obtain nutrients by feeding on dead organic matter, making them saprotrophic or saprophytic. So the answers we write are, cell walls are made of chitin, and they are saprotrophic or saprophytic. Third part then asks, explain how piles of dead plant vegetation can have temperatures much higher than the surrounding environment. So, think about what is happening inside the pile. Fungi and bacteria act as decomposers, breaking down the dead plant material. As they respire, heat energy is released. Since the pile of vegetation forms a thick insulating layer, much of this heat is trapped instead of escaping into the surroundings. As a result, the temperature inside the pile becomes much higher than the surrounding environment. So the answer we write is, fungi and bacteria decompose the dead plant vegetation. During respiration, heat energy is released. The layer of vegetation acts as insulation, trapping the heat and causing the temperature to become much higher than the surrounding environment. Now let's move on to the next set of MCQs. This question asks, what is the principal source of energy in most biological systems? Think about where all energy in an ecosystem originally comes from. Plants capture energy from sunlight during photosynthesis, and this energy is then passed through the food chain to other organisms. Therefore, the ultimate source of energy is sunlight, not photosynthesis itself. So, D is the correct answer. Next one asks, untreated sewage contains nitrates and phosphates. What will happen in the lake if untreated sewage is added? Nitrates and phosphates are nutrients that promote the rapid growth of algae and aquatic plants. This leads to eutrophication, where excessive plant and algal growth eventually reduces oxygen levels in the water and harms aquatic life. So, B is the correct answer. Then the next one says, DDT is an insecticide that is harmful to living organisms. It builds up in the cells of living organisms as it is not excreted. The diagram shows DDT moving from the water to aquatic plants, then to herbivorous fish, carnivorous fish, and finally to fish-eating birds. This question is based on bioaccumulation and biomagnification. As DDT moves up each trophic level, its concentration increases because it is not broken down or excreted. Therefore, the organisms at the highest trophic level accumulate the greatest amount of DDT and are affected the most. So, D is the correct answer because the fish-eating birds receive the highest concentration of DDT. We have more MCQs here. This question asks, what is a food chain? A food chain shows how energy is transferred from one organism to another through feeding relationships. It represents the movement of energy through a sequence of organisms, beginning with producers and ending with consumers. So, C is the correct answer because a food chain is a diagram showing the flow of energy through a chain of organisms. Next question asks, soil that contains more water allows denutrifying bacteria to grow well. Which effects will be seen on the growth of plants in this soil? Remember that denutrifying bacteria convert nitrates in the soil into nitrogen gas. As a result, the amount of nitrate available for plants decreases. Since plants need nitrates to make amino acids and proteins for growth, fewer nitrates mean poorer plant growth. So, D is the correct answer because there are fewer nitrate ions in the soil, so plants grow less well. Then this one asks about the process of eutrophication after excess nitrogen fertilizer enters streams. The statements are given in the wrong order, and we have to arrange them correctly. First, the extra nutrients cause the growth rate of algae to increase. As the algal bloom spreads, it blocks sunlight from reaching the aquatic plants. Without enough light, the aquatic plants die. Bacteria then decompose the dead plants, using up the dissolved oxygen in the water. As oxygen levels fall, aquatic animals either die or move away. Therefore, the correct sequence is 4, 3, 5, 1, and 2, making C the correct answer.